Welcome to Walpole Five-0. I'm Chief John Carmichael. Today is March 16th, 2017, the day before St. Patrick's Day. We are 2 days past where we normally film Walpole Five-0. So the log entries today will go up to the 14th, and then next week we'll start the new log. But due to the storm and everything, that kind of threw us off for a couple of days, so we're a little bit behind. First thing I'd like to mention is our Student Police Advisory Council. We visited MCI Cedar Junction this past week. We participated in the Project Youth Program in Restorative Justice. And basically what that program is they have, we bring the students that are in Stupak up to the prison. We do like a little tour of the prison, and then we meet in a room where they bring inmates, people that have been convicted of usually pretty serious crimes, into the room with us, and they go over how their rehabilitation is going. And basically what the program is designed for these offenders to provide reconciliation with victims, with the community at large, and basically try and accept and take responsibility for what they did. And it's very eye-opening. They had 6 different inmates come in and speak to the kids, and several police officers that attended. And it was a very good program. It's very eye-opening, and you really get a taste of what those individuals see in the prison life, but also, you know, their life leading up to that incarceration. So that was a good program that we were able to attend, and we all had a great time participating in that. The Walpole Alcohol and Drug Coalition, we held an Impacts of Marijuana program at the town hall. It was done in the main meeting room, and we had a pretty good turnout, and it's something that we'll continue to do because we will continue to see the impact of legalization, and we want to make sure that we keep the community informed as to what we're seeing out there. So we'll continue to do those in the future as things kind of unfold with that issue. So I want to mention the Walpole Film Festival because Officer Thayer, Officer Hart, and Crown all went up and worked with the Guanabana crew, which I'm not really sure what that is, but I also had the opportunity to work with the Boysenberry crew, a different group, on the opiate epidemic. So it's going to be interesting to see how those turn out. The officers won't tell me what theirs was all about yet, so we're going to have to see what happens with it. But what a great program! It's a great program, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. So we look forward to seeing the results. Coalition, the Walpole Alcohol and Drug Coalition. We just had the deadline for the poster and video contest that we have every year. Melissa at the Board of Health has accepted all of the posters and all of the videos. And so now the coalition is going to kind of go through those posters and videos and select the winners. And there's a lot of cash prizes, and we issue out a certificate of participation to all of the kids that participate in this contest. And then we're going to hold the ceremony on March 29th. That's going to be at the library at 7 p.m. So we bring all the families in and all the kids in and meet up with them and issue them their certificates, as well as the first, second, and third place kids for each poster and for each and the video contest side of it as well. So always a great event. We always look forward to it every year. The videos keep getting better and better. Usually District Attorney Mike Morrissey comes out, and hopefully he'll join us again this year. So we look forward to that. We know that the storm passed this week. To be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of major issues in Walpole due to the storm. And part of that was because our town administrator did declare a state of emergency. We did make sure that there was no school and that type of thing. So a lot of people stayed home. And when people stay home in a major storm like that, it makes things much easier to get it all cleaned up and for us to mitigate the problems that come along with the storm. So there wasn't a lot of crashes and cars off the road like we did in the last storm. So that was really good. And you know, hey, hopefully spring's coming a little quicker. We had some in February, but we need that back. Wanted to mention the Walpole hockey teams, boys and girls. What an amazing season they had this year. And then the boys making it all the way to the into the finals and that Super 8 tournament. Just absolutely amazing. The boys and girls both put in a great season this year, and it was unfortunate to see that all that hard work came down to a shootout. But certainly those the boys have nothing to be ashamed of, and hopefully their heads are high. And what a historic season, and they did Walpole proud, boys and girls hockey, and great thing. So great job and congratulations on that. Mental health evaluations. Wanted to bring that up just because we've noticed an uptick in them. And as I mentioned, it's always important for families to know that we have a lot of resources that we can use and we can deploy when there's a mental health crisis. And we really do handle these things differently than we used to. A lot of times in the past, they used to be handled with arrest, and because that was really our only option. There wasn't nowhere else to deal with it. But now we have a lot of different stakeholders. Walpole has a community crisis intervention team. We hold monthly meetings here at the police station, and we involve Riverside. We involve Department of Mental Health, our schools, crisis counselors, families, whoever will come, and we meet on these issues. We do case review, so we'll go over some of the cases that we have in Walpole, obviously not violating anybody's confidentiality, but we talk about these issues and how we can respond to them better, and what resources are available to us when we have certain events. And since January 1st, we've had 15 issues where we've had to apply what's called a Section 12. Mass General Law 123, Section 12 is a mental health statute, which when a police officer determines, or a physician, or a psychiatrist or anything like that, determines that somebody may have some altered mental status, the law allows us to kind of take them into custody and bring them to a facility so that they can be evaluated. And we've done 15 of those so far this year. Other mental health calls we've gotten, there's been 8 others where we've engaged people in certain types of crisis situations, which we've been able to mitigate with that individual and did not need any further intervention from the resources that we can provide. But it's always important, substance abuse issues and mental health issues, there's stigma associated with it. So it's always good for the community to know that we're open to these issues, and we have to deal with those issues as a community. So I will keep elaborating on that we're here to help. We have a lot of different resources that we can use, and they're here at your disposal when you need them. So getting into the log entries, on March 7th, we got a call from Dedham PD on a hit and run. Somebody was actually able to get the registration plate off that vehicle as it fled the scene on Route 1. Moments later, we were able to locate that vehicle in Swan Pond. And that vehicle did sustain some heavy front right end damage, which was reported to us that the vehicle that had fled the scene should have heavy front right end damage. We located that vehicle, we located the operator still in that vehicle, and the operator had basically said that they were not involved in a crash, that they weren't not in Dedham. But ironically, this same vehicle was involved as a disabled motor vehicle earlier that day on the same tour of duty, and our officers went down there and they assisted that person in getting that vehicle off of the roadway as a disabled motor vehicle. And the officers recall standing right there next to the vehicle and knowing that there was no front right end damage to that vehicle at the time. So we ended up taking photographs of that, passing that on to Dedham PD, and processing that vehicle basically to link it back to the hit and run crash that was reported in Dedham. So the officers did a great job on that. Officer Koenig was down there handling that. So good job. On March 8th, assist a citizen. There was a person that was in the middle of the road, no clothes on, involved in a crisis situation, and this comes back to the issues of Section 12s and mental health evals, and we were able to successfully talked to that person into going to the hospital, and we got them some help. But these types of situations, again, please, if you have that type of thing going on, forget about the stigma side of it. We're here to help. I threw in that 4 utility poles were struck leading up to when we had the storm, so no snow on the ground. But for some reason, we had 4 utility poles that were struck within a matter of days. In fact, within 48 hours, I think we had 3 telephone poles snapped in half. One was a rollover where the vehicle rolled over twice before hitting the pole. Then we had a truck strike a pole on West Street, took that pole down and all the power lines down. And then we had another vehicle strike a pole and knock the pole down on Washington Street. Following this crash, we had another crash on Main Street. This was a car into a tree. And really, luckily, all of these crashes, except for the one on was on Bullitt Street. There was some minor injuries, and the one on Washington Street, the person broke their wrist. But other than that, most of these crashes have not had significant injuries, which is good. We're always happy that that people are okay. Evaluations. We served 2 other Section 12s during the week that were issued through doctors. So that seemed to be the trend this past week. Disturbance, officers responded to Walpole Center. There was a disturbance going on, and ultimately found out that there was an assault and battery that took place. The suspect had fled in a motor vehicle, and officers were unable to locate that vehicle at the time. Sometime later, the officers did observe that vehicle. In fact, I think it was the next day. It was the next day they observed the vehicle that was involved in the assault and battery. The officers stopped that vehicle and placed the individual under arrest for assault and battery. On March 9th, there was a shoplifting at Walmart, and this person was actually summoned by Officer Griffin. And following that, there was another shoplifting at Walmart, back-to-back. The second individual was arrested for larceny over because they also had a straight warrant out of Boston. And the straight warrant is a warrant that's issued based on probable cause, so was probably likely involved in another crime. Boston PD established probable cause on whatever that crime was, and they issued a straight warrant, which means, you know, that you committed this crime, the court agrees with it, and now this warrant is issued. And so this individual from Hyde Park also had a warrant for larceny over as well. So that individual was arrested. They were stealing about $430 worth of merchandise from the store. Suspicious activity. Officer Dolan took a report that somebody found a pill inside of their mailbox. It turns out that that pill was an Adderall pill. I only put this in there because it's a good thing for parents and even teachers and that type of thing to understand that we do see Adderall a lot. It's a commonly abused, widely abused stimulant. A lot of times it's used to treat issues such as ADHD, but it's also a drug that's disseminated and that's used for illicit purposes, or it's used for purposes usually as a stimulant. And what we find a lot of times is students, whether high school, college, will abuse this drug as a stimulant because it helps them stay up, and you know, so if they have a lot of homework assignments and that type of thing. So just something to keep in mind, always good for that drug awareness side of it. A verbal dispute, this occurred in North Walpole. We had a few of these, so I just threw these in there, but verbal dispute between 2 people, nothing physical. Peace was restored by the officers when they got there. A harassment issue, person being harassed by their ex-boyfriend, which also turned into a verbal dispute type of thing. Peace restored again. A neighbor dispute occurred in West Walpole between several individuals, and again, officers responded and peace was restored with these people. One of the issues that we run into in the police department quite often is sometimes we have neighborhood disputes, and these sometimes can get very nasty at times. And what we do try and do is the department is, for many years, has worked very closely with the neighbors to try and, kind of bring peace in the neighborhood, but also to try and help mitigate. And sometimes that even means bringing people from the neighborhood to the police station, and we sit down and we just kind of, hash the whole thing out and try and come to a good resolution for everybody. So it just makes it easier. It helps deal with the reoccurring responses. And the Walpole Police Department is community police oriented. We are problem solving oriented, which means we do try and deal with recurring problems, and so that you're not going back to the same calls over and over and over again. We try and come to a resolution, and doesn't always work, but we give it our best effort. Another crash. This was on March 9th. Again, we had an unusual amount of motor vehicle crashes that day. Again, this was a truck slid into a pole, and a car went into a tree on Main Street. So we continued that trend of one-car collisions for some reason, striking poles or striking trees. And again, these were not substance abuse related or impaired driving, distracted driving, anything like that. Just a crash, and that's it. So. Ironically, we did not have any crashes during the major snowstorm we had when the roads were really bad. We had another section. This was in West Walpole, and peace was restored and that individual was transported. An arrest, OUI alcohol. This was following a motor vehicle stop Officer Haber made after several motor vehicle violations were observed by him. He conducted a motor vehicle stop, administered field sobriety tests to which that person had failed, and as a result arrested that person for OUI liquor, as well as being charged with Mark Lane's violation, which is basically, usually Mark Lane's violation is not following the markings that are in the roadway. So if it may be the left turn arrow only, but the person goes straight, or they're weaving over the solid double yellow line in the middle, or weaving over the fog line on the right, that type of thing. So when that happens, they add on the Mark Lane's violation. So an unwanted person, this was in Walpole Center between a client and a nurse, as reported as an unwanted party. And this was another situation where we intervened and we came up with resources to assist the people involved with this incident. Which worked out very well. The next call was a scam, and this is a very interesting call because an individual had basically been told that they were involved in winning a sweepstakes, which would lead to further money proceeds, as well as a new vehicle being involved. And the individual participated in this sweepstakes and had withdrawn actually about $10,000 from their account, and possibly another $6,000 from a savings account or a home savings, and shipped the money via parcel to this sweepstakes. So very luckily, the family intervened, discovered that this had happened, and quickly notified us and worked with Officer Foley in locating the tracking number of where this package was. And when Officer Foley got that information, he was able to locate that parcel, and that package was now currently at LA Airport and waiting for the next pickup to proceed further, full with cash. So we were able to work with FedEx and interrupt that shipment, and now that's back to the owner, the rightful owner, and just such a difficult situation. Excellent police work by Officer Foley, and excellent involvement by the family, and something that we mention these just because this is such a common occurrence where these people just target our seniors. Some of the locations in Walpole, for example, CVS and Walmart, where they have have like Western Union and money transfer type places like that, they will monitor that, and many times they have intercepted seniors who are sending money away to a scam that has somehow contacted them, and they've fallen into this scam and have been intercepted before they sent off their their life savings, their hard-earned money. And it's very sad that there's people out there that will prey on our seniors like that, but it happens, and it's something that we need to be careful and we need to know about and warn our seniors about and work with them so that that doesn't happen. An arrest, we had responded to an unattended death, and while they were there, officers were interviewing somebody that was on scene, and as a result of that interview, officers discovered that that individual had an arrest warrant, a default warrant, out of Boston. It was actually with the transit police, and it was for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, carrying a dangerous weapon, and disorderly conduct. So apparently this person used a weapon, was carrying a weapon, and became disorderly while in the jurisdiction of the transit police, probably on the MBTA, and officers arrested that person. He was subsequently transported to Norfolk County House of Correction because there was no bail. Usually when there's a default warrant, there's no bail on the person. And where this was a weekend night, they're going to be held until Monday morning with no bail. So the officers transported them over to Norfolk County House of Correction until the arraignment, or until the could be transported over to transit police. So a hit and run was reported on South Street. Caller reports his fence was struck overnight. Luckily, and this happens sometimes, after the crash, the vehicle fled the scene but left the registration plate behind. So the plate came dislodged, was left on scene, and Officer Foley determined who the owner was, and then he will be following up with the person who was operating that vehicle, who caused property damage and then fled the scene. That one's a home run. I mean, if you leave the registration plate behind, chances are we'll be able to find out who did it. So good job, Officer Foley. Crash, car versus pole. These telephone poles are like, I think they're like jumping out in the street at us or something. But we had another crash, no injuries, but this was on My Lodge Street. Car struck a pole, and again, not due to the conditions. So let's see, that's good. So we responded to a larceny on Route 1. And there was a female who had her wallet taken as she was using the restroom. We were able to obtain some surveillance video of this one, and we do have a suspect. Well, we have a description of a suspect. It was a female that was involved in this, who we have on surveillance video going into the bathroom where this victim was. Moments later, had left her wallet and all of her belongings in the bathroom and forgot. This other individual went in there and removes those items and walks out. The lucky thing is that this suspect used what we believe is their own credit card after they had stole the purse. They used their own credit card to make some purchases at the front desk. And when that happens, we're able to obtain their last four digits on their credit card. The problem with us is it becomes time consuming because we have to do a search warrant for those last four digits and the rest of the credit card because that's not readily available. So we do get a search warrant for the rest of the number, and then once we get the number, we got to submit another search warrant to identify who the card holder is. So there's a little work, but we follow through with this, and we will unless, you know, and the credit card hasn't been reported stolen or anything like that. So we assume that this is probably going to be the credit card that's owned by the suspect who stole the purse. And so we hopefully will be able to identify them. Missing person, it was a Be on the Lookout or BOLO from Norwood PD. There was a missing elderly male. He was driving a red Subaru, and there was thought that this person could be in the Norwood Walpole area. So we did search extensively for this individual. Sometime later, the individual was located by a trooper in Stoughton, and luckily, because this man suffered from some dementia and some other issues, so great job in finding this man and getting him back to his family and everything. Stolen vehicle. This was also a bolo out of Norwood. Be on the lookout of a stolen white Ford F-250. This was a pickup truck for a landscaping company. It said Shady Tree Landscaping on the side, and this vehicle was missing for several days. There was concern because the vehicle had a plow on it, and we did search for this vehicle extensively as well. And as of this morning, today, this vehicle was located in Dorchester, and minus the tires, the plow, and all of the equipment that was on it. So they got the truck back, but they don't have tires, they don't have a plow, they don't have their equipment, which is very unfortunate. So hopefully they identify who stole that vehicle. And the last thing we have is another stolen purse. This occurred at the Dollar Zone. Victim left their purse in the cart and walked away for a minute, and somebody came by and stole that purse. And just, you know, as a public awareness thing, always be very careful in the malls, in the different stores, when you're walking around, if you leave your purse in the carriage, you know, because this happens a lot. People are sometimes looming around, and they see that as an opportunity to take that wallet, and it does happen. As you can see, on March 13th, it happened twice in the same day, where we had 2 wallets or purses that were stolen at stores. So safeguard that property, and make sure that you keep your property safe, so that you're not victimized by stuff like that. So that's it for Walpole 5-0, and I'm Chief John Carmichael, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.